Hey everyone, this is MusicTechHelpGuy, and welcome to part 17 of my Logic Pro 10 201 course. In this video, I'm going to use flex pitch to create some artificial harmonies in the verses and in the chorus, and it's actually pretty easy to do. Also, the multi-track session content is now available for download for this course. If you're interested, check it out via the link in the video description below. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the verse vocals here. I'm going to keep them attached like this. And then what I'm going to do is just duplicate that whole track. And then I'm going to duplicate the whole audio region. Again, remember when you duplicate, you can hold Option to duplicate, but if you hold Shift, it'll keep the same position so the duplicated audio doesn't fall out of timing. I'll just rename this verse harmony. And then what I'll do is I'm going to turn on flex pitch just for this track, the duplicated track, and double click to open it up down here, and then make sure flex pitch is turned down here as well. Now, I don't want everything to be harmonized, just certain parts of the verses. However, the way it works in flex pitch, so the way it works out, it ends up being easier just to harmonize everything and then rendering it and then going back and cutting out the parts that you don't want harmony on. So that's what I'm going to do. So the song is in the key of E flat minor, as I mentioned before, and the E flat minor scale is E flat, F, G flat, A flat, B flat, C flat, D flat, E flat. That's just the E flat minor scale. Typically, vocal harmonies are going to start on either the first root or tonic note of a scale, the third of the scale, which in our case would be G flat here, or the fifth note of the scale, which will be B flat in our case. If your song sort of centers or starts on the tonic note, you can typically just harmonize up a third, and that's going to sound best. If it starts on the third, you can harmonize up a third or down a third. So from the third up to the fifth, or third down to the root or tonic. And if the song starts on a fifth, you typically want to harmonize down a third. It's not always a hard and fast rule, but typically I've found that that is mostly true. So the vocal melody starts on E flat, so I'm going to harmonize the whole thing up a third. Now, I'm not going to use the scale quantize whatsoever. I don't like using it for this because it doesn't always work out right. So I've just selected all of the notes, and I'm going to pull this root note E flat up to the third of the scale, which is G flat. And there we go. Then I'm just going to hit Command A to select all, and I'm going to pull the pitch correction all the way up. Now, effectively what we've done here is we've just created parallel harmony, which is not what we want. It'll sound good in some spots, and it won't sound so good in other spots.
Tell me that you see it. Can you feel it? Can you hear it call your name? It's a broken world.
So you heard right here on this A, it didn't quite sound right. What you typically need to do when you harmonize up a third, or really any interval, is look at the big picture and see if there are any notes that are outside of the original key. So the original key is E flat. Well, in the key of E flat, there's no A natural. So we have all these notes on A natural here. So what's the closest note, the closest unused note that's actually in the key of E flat minor? Well, it's B flat. So I can pull A here up to B flat. And because all of those were selected, it pulls all of the A's up to B flat. Another one I think is going to be over in the second verse here. Yeah, right here. Got a couple notes on C. Well, there is no C natural in the key of E flat minor. It's C flat. So I'm going to click on the C button here and then pull all my C's down to C flat. Just like so.
Daddy, you want it all, but you can't break free. You're losing time when you...
Now, what you can do at this point is go through the entire song and just make sure everything sounds okay. It's going to sound a little weird, but the harmonies should pretty much make sense. One thing I am going to do is select all. I'm going to pull down the vibrato to like 50%. I don't like my harmonies to have as much vibrato as the lead vocal. So I'll just give this a listen through, and let's see if there's anything that doesn't sound right or harmony-wise doesn't match up.
Tell me that you see it. Can you feel it? Can you hear it call your name? It's a broken world alone. We got kids with no shelter, lies from our leaders, pain from the sky to the sea, death with no freedom.
This note right here was a troublesome note when we were tuning it originally too. The good news is this isn't going to be part of the harmony at the end anyway, so I'm just going to leave it alone.
Freedom, hearts with no heroes, baby, it's just you and me.
Me. This note right here needs to be split. So I'm going to split this with the scissors tool. And instead of going from C flat down to A, it's going to go from C flat to B flat, just like we did before. Another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select both of these, and I'm going to glue them back together just like so. I don't know if that's necessary or not, but I decided to do it anyway. Because it's one note. All right, let's give the second verse a listen and make sure that nothing sounds off.
It's just a tragedy. You want it all, but you can't break free. You're losing time when you're wasting lives. Your karma's on the line. We got kids with no future, lies from our leaders.
This part here, kids with no future, this rising part, it's not going to be a big deal because this note is not going to be part of the harmony anyway.
Lies from our leaders, pain from the sky to the sea. A world torn asunder with hate for our brothers. Baby, it's just you and me.
So this part right here, I'm going to separate that note out. Put it on its own note. And I may need to separate this as well. And I'm also going to join these notes together. Pull that back down. Pull this down. Let's see what that sounds like. Yeah, the me needs to be more precise. So that works out. So I'll go ahead and pull the vibrato down on those notes as well, just to even them out a bit. And then one last thing you can do with harmonies is you can pull down the formant shift. Because right now, if you solo just one of these harmonies by itself, it really sounds like a chipmunk recording.
Baby, it's just you and me.
If you want to add some of the body back to the harmony, what you can do is pull down the formant shift, and this adjusts the meaningful overtones or frequencies in the vocal tract that make the voice sound like a human voice. So as you shift this down, it's going to sound more deep and masculine. As you pull it up, it'll sound more feminine. So if we pull it up too much, it's going to sound really, really like a chipmunk.
Baby, it's just you and me.
So you could use that as an effect, but here I want to smooth out the backing vocals and give them some depth back. So I'm going to pull down the formant shift just a little bit.
Baby, it's just you and me.
Maybe not that much. Touch less.
Baby, it's just you and me.
And we'll do some different things with EQ later as well. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to render this in place. So I'm going to press Control-B to bounce in place. I'll just call this verse harmony. And I'll make sure I bypass effects plugins, do not include audio tail, and do not include volume pan automation. And this will render this into a new file with all of those flex edits included, so I can delete that track. And now it's just a matter of going through and doing some audio editing. So what I'm going to do is turn off my bar snap, and I'm going to use my scissors tool to go through and cut out parts of the harmony that I don't want to be there.
Tell me that you see it.
So you're going to see a pattern here. Da-na-na-na-da-da. On the high notes, I'm going to keep the harmony, but on the low notes, I'm not.
Can you feel it? Can you hear it?
So I'm just going to keep it on these high parts.
Tell me that you see it. Can you feel it? Can you hear it call your name? It's a broken world alone.
I'm I'm going to keep all of that, but I think this part right here with the breath I'm going to take out. Sometimes when you have harmonies layered with the melody, the consonants can sort of build up in the harmonies, so you can actually remove some of the consonant sounds as well.
It's a broken world alone.
Cool.
We got kids with no shelter.
So yeah, just shelter, and probably the SH on the front of shelter I'm going to cut out as well.
No shelter, lies from our leaders.
Leaders.
Pain from the sky to the sea.
I think I'm going to take just the pain out.
Pain from the sky to the sea. Our leaders, pain from the sky to the sea.
Nah, that sounds weird. I'll keep it in.
Death with no freedom.
Just freedom.
Hearts with no heroes.
And just heroes.
With no heroes.
Pull that forward a bit.
No heroes, baby, it's just you and me.
And that can all stay in. All right, so off screen, I did something similar to the second verse, a little bit different than the first verse. I left some of the initial front end harmonies in on the front end here. So let's give this a listen.
It's just a tragedy. You want it all, but you can't break free. You're losing time when you're wasting lives. Your karma's on the line. We got kids with no future. Lies from our leaders. Pain from the sky to the sea. A world torn asunder with hate for our brothers. Baby, it's just you and me.
So one last thing to do when you cut up the harmonies like this is drag over all of them, go over to your region inspector over here, and what I'll do is I'll add a quick little fade in and a fade out. So this is just a 10 millisecond fade on each of those clips, and that'll just keep the front end from popping or clicking at the edit points. And then you can drag over all of those and press J to join them together as a new audio file. Off screen, I also went ahead and I created an artificial harmony for the chorus. This I even did less than I did with the verses. All I did was I went through the same process as before, duplicated the track, turned on flex pitch, pulled everything up a third again, and pulled out even less of the notes, just a few notes here and there, and most of it has been left in. I went through and pulled down the vibrato to 50%, pulled down the formant, went through, cut out the parts where I didn't want harmonies, added the fades, and then pressed J to join them back together.
Please tell me how, when all the world is lost, we're losing ground. There's no way out. There's no way back to salvation. We're losing ground. Please tell me how, when all the world is lost, we're losing ground.
And there you go. With the other harmonies that we stacked up and tuned, I left those alone. You could really, if you wanted to, you could go crazy and you could create some artificial harmonies out of the harmonies, but I'm not going to do that. I think we've got plenty. Once we get some chorus and reverb in there, her voice is going to sound huge. So just a reminder that you can purchase the session content for this course via the link in the video description below if you'd like to work along with the last 7 tutorials in this course, or you can just use it to practice mixing. As always, you can check me out on social media at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and if you'd like to make a monthly donation to the channel, you can check me out on Patreon as well. Thanks for the support, and thanks for watching.